back, adventurers, once again to Let's Play ChäoS Head. In the last episode, Nanami Nishijo, upon being reunited with both Takumi and Shogun, regained the memories that she had lost so long ago. Of the time she spent taking care of the original Takumi Nishijo, aka Shogun, who apparently was carrying the very bangle that the other Takumi Nichijo had offhandedly given to her as a memento of sorts. But nonetheless, it was an object that she cherished above all else. But with Nanami, well, alive and well, there was only one thing for Takumi left to do. Save Rimi and confront Ganeshi Narose and destroy Noah too. But in order to do that, there are two people that Takumi needs to find. Sena, Aoi, and her father, Issei Hatano. The only two other people who have any idea of the location of Noah 2 and the Nozomi Group headquarters. But meanwhile, the Shinshin station of the Inokashira line was one stop away from Shibuya, a station that would take hardly 1 minute to arrive at via train, if the trains hadn't been completely and absolutely shattered along with the tracks in the wake of the third melt. The station itself was completely underground, being located in a tunnel, and the only outside light that reached it was a faint amount coming in through the outdoor exit at the end of the platform. Now, due to the earthquake, all of the light fixtures had gone off and it was terribly dim, much more so than usual. And the only way through is on foot. Now, the tunnels themselves might be a bit more structurally sound, given the damage from the earthquake, but then again, maybe not. Sena Aoi stepped onto the platform, supporting Kozue Orihara. There was no need for her to buy a ticket. Well, obviously, since there are no trains and there are no conductors. She didn't spot any station workers anywhere, and the ticket machines were out of service too. But much like Takumi Nishijo, Sena Aoi is also looking for Issei Hatano to truly make him atone for his, well, I would say his crimes, but, well, his actions. The crimes were that of Ganeshi Narose, but unfortunately Issei Hatano was guilty by association in his own right. When she looked at the tracks, the rails there were visibly warped. Naturally, the trains had been at a standstill since yesterday. It's understandable that Kozue is upset by all this. And of course, with people panicking, that sense of anxiety is even more heightened. Kozue's left foot was completely bloody. Oh dear. Broken glass had sliced into her during the earthquake. Sena had wrapped a towel around it in hopes of stopping the blood, but the depth of the wounds surpassed her expectations, and first aid treatment wouldn't be enough by itself. Things just keep going from bad to worse. Gigalomaniacs couldn't use their power to heal their own wounds. Pain compelled them to be reminded of the reality of their injuries. They couldn't create local shared recognition to the effect of, I'm not wounded. They couldn't make it be as if nothing had happened. Their human instincts wouldn't permit it. Well, I would actually say there are some exceptions. There are people who can actually work through the pain, to put it mildly. And, yeah. But while there might be a loophole for people with a high degree of pain tolerance, that unfortunately isn't going to work in Kozue's case. And not even Takami's gigolomaniac abilities can remedy that, unfortunately. No matter how Kozue whined, looking as if she were about to cry, Sena remained silent. All she had done was focus intently and wholeheartedly on walking toward the Shinshin station. Upon reaching the depopulated platform, Sena abruptly released the hand she'd been using to support Kozue. Kozue, who could only stand up on one leg, immediately crumpled in place. I wonder what it is they've found. Kozue looked up in perplexity, but Sena didn't give her a second glance. Glaring at a certain fixed point, she ground her teeth together. There's only one thing that could make Sena behave in this fashion, and one thing only.
やった。見つけた。
In other words, Sena got to him before Takami could. Alas. At the end of her line of sight, a lone human figure was sitting down at the back of the dim platform.
セナさんのパパなのだ。
A homeless man, clad in filthy clothing, he held a poster with "People's hearts are perishing" written on it. Sena slowly walked toward him.
誰に向けたメッセージだ。
Her voice was rigid.
負を生へと変換できる者たちへの遺言だよ。
This time, this is no delusion. Issei Hatano is in the flesh.
セナ。
We know all too well what transpired between them. The homeless man, Hatano, kept his head lowered and didn't look at his daughter's face as he spoke evenly, voicing her name.
お前に慣れ慣れしく名前を呼ばれたくない。この半年、ずっと考えてきた。
A tragedy that led to the deaths of both Sena's mother and her younger sister, Mana.
お前をどうやって殺すか。
That negativity was what ultimately drove her onwards and also led her to becoming a gigolomaniac.
ありがと
But Issei Hatano knows this only too well. In fact, he has been waiting for this moment.
どうして礼を言う。
利己的な理由だよ。お前に殺されることが私にとって最善の贖罪かもしれない。そう思ったからだ。
Hatano has been buried by the chains of his guilt for over a year.
それなら話は早い。
And for once, Hatano's wish is something that Sena is only too happy to oblige. Sena rebooted her D-sword. The method she had selected to kill her father was cutting him down with her D-sword. Its simplicity, in other words, came closest to the truth. There was no meaning in how she killed him. There was meaning in killing him.
すまない。
Except that killing him will not change the reality of what has happened. And then the question remains is that after this is done, what will become of Sena's resolve then? Hatano had yet to raise its face.
どうして謝る？
お前に父殺しの汚名を着せてしまうからだ。
殺せさえすればどんな恥ずかしめだって受けてやる。
She's actually telling the truth.
お前は母さんと妹を殺した。
True as that may be, and it is, they would have died either way by, if not Hatano, well, in effect they also died by Ganeshi Narose's hands.
事実だ。
But Hatano is responsible for their deaths.
しかもあんなむごい最後。
Sena's voice, which had then maintained its cool-headedness, all emotions repressed, wavered a tiny bit.
お前には見せたくはなかった。いや、今のは聞き流してくれ。
There's no mincing words here.
なぜあんなことを？
過程を説明することは無意味だよ。お前は納得しないし、結果が改変されるわけでもない。
Hatano has no delusions about his eventual fate. Sena pointed the tip of her D-sword at Hatano's head.
そうやってまた逃げるのか？
間違っていたのは私だ。それが全てなんだ。
Unfortunately, that is the truth. Because it stands to reason that Mana's death was a result of Noah 2 in two respects. First and foremost, I think that the young infant Mana was probably affected rather negatively by the feedback of Noah 2. And because Sena's mother was under the delusionary influence of Noah 2, while she may have been keeping Mana nourished, that would have been a delusion and not a reality. But I digress.
お前には失望した。
まだ期待していたのか。何を。人を含めて世界はすべて電気仕掛け。そう言ったのはお前だ、セナ。
Sena's shoulders trembled. Of course, it was because of Issei Hatano's research that Sena knew of the mitochondria research and the creation of Noah 2. For close to 3 years since Hatano had started the Mana scheme, the two of them had rarely met. Sena was shaken by how, despite this, he had managed to see through her so easily. Like father, like daughter. Discomforted, she attempted to blow away her reason by transforming her internal uncertainty to rage.
セナ、惑わされるな。電気仕掛けならば、お前のその私を恨む感情もまた、ただの電気信号でしかない。
Hatano was pressing at her, so Sena told herself. Calm down.
お前の言葉なんか無効だ。
あまり感情的な行動をとるな。でなければ、お前は矛盾する。
Since he was the lead researcher on Noah 2, Issei Hatano knows only too well the contradictions that have ravaged the original Takumi Nishijo.
その言葉を受け取ってはいけない。精神攻撃だ。判断を中止するんだ。
話を終わりだ。
Sena was about to brandish her D-sword. Slightly beforehand, Hatano abruptly stood up. Kozue, who had been on pins and needles as she watched their exchange, was torn over whether to stop their quarrel. The pain in her foot made her give up, and even if she could do something, it wouldn't change things. She wasn't sad, but something wept, sobbing in the depths of her chest. Hatano took a long stride towards Sena. Slow to react, Sena switched to a receiving attack. But as she braced her legs, one of her feet caught on some gravel. Of all the times. Her position crumbled. Unsteadiness entered her movements. Sena's sharp aura was snuffed out. She was frightened. She maintained herself by hating her father. But when it came to confronting him, she became afraid to face him. She herself didn't understand why. At least it was certain that what her father had said right beforehand lay at the root of it. Hatano came rushing at her with astonishing force. As she fell backward, she swept her massive D-sword up from below. A sword that disregarded both gravity and centrifugal force. Its blade began by gouging out the tiles on the platform, then slashed through her father's shoulder, cleanly like a hot knife slicing through butter. Her father's hand sent her flying. Fresh blood danced from his wound. Her father's relieved eyes. Sena bit her lip. Having flown from behind him, something grazed Sena's cheek and vanished. Blood spurted not only from his shoulder, but also from his chest. In other words, he's been shot, which means in other words, Sena and Kozue are not alone. The scarlet liquid overflowing from his wounds caught Sena on the cheek. A bullet. Shoved away, collapsed on her back. Sena instinctively raised her face and looked for the person who had fired a gun. That man stood on the boundary between the Shinshin station tunnel and the tunnel continuing beyond toward the Shibuya station. In the crossway, there was the sole place from which one could see a white piece of the sky. It was a revolver in his hand. Sena's father toppled over beside her. His upper body was already blood-stained. That he did, Sena. That he did. Sena stared disbelievingly at the pool of blood spreading across the tiles. Her father mumbled, his breathing feeble.
お前は素直すぎるんだ、セナ。そんなお前がとても悲しく、そして愛おしいよ。
The bullet had been aimed at Sena, and Hatano had taken it instead. Because he knew what was coming. She was supposed to have been trying to kill her father, but her father had saved her life.
ふざけるな。
Sena gripped her D-sword harder.
まあ別に構わないっすよね。畑の親子にはどっちも死んでもらうつもりだったので。
An odd sound resounded through the platform. Sena instantly came to the revelation that it was coming from a Noa-2 terminal. Probably ever since you and Kozue got here. She couldn't forgive him. She could never forgive that gun-bearing man. He whose existence had interfered and kept her and her father from settling things.
よくも邪魔を。
And she stood up and looked ahead of her. Noa-2 working its twistedness yet again. The baby's wail rang out into a dim platform. Sena sensed something out of place in her hands, for some reason in place of her sword. She was embracing a rotting, desiccated infant. She reflexively flung it away from her. Seems like Noa-2's potency has gotten even more powerful. But she soon realized it was the little sister she had only seen once before. Her sister whose name she didn't know, who had been devoured by her mother. The baby before her eyes had gaping bite wounds on it. White bones with pink shreds of flesh clinging to them peek out from the gaps in its dried out skin. Sena became lost again. She couldn't take her eyes off it. She couldn't forgive herself for throwing her little sister away, for finding her disgusting. Had been compelled the same back then, when she was compelled to watch her mother's last moments, the image of her mother dying in the grip of insanity. Her sister's miserable corpse, embraced by their mother, gnawed upon by their mother. When she was forced to watch it, more so than sorrow or dread, what she had felt was disgust. It remained inside inside her is guilt. She had averted her eyes from that emotion by hating her father.
私は
And once again, Sena Aoi, Sena Hatano, is broken. Even though in a corner of her head she understood that this was a psychological attack brought on by a delusion, it awoke emotions sealed deep inside her heart, leaving her as incapable of movement as if she had been bound by hand and foot. And the same thing applied to Kozue. As Kozue sat down in the place where she had sunk down, a vast mirror appeared before her eyes, and she questioned her reflection, which likewise had a blood-soiled foot.
お前は誰
The same psychological attack from way back when. Terror paralyzed her. Enormous teardrops spilled out of her eyes. Wounds she had wanted to forget, a past she hadn't wanted to remember. Decayed tears leaked forth in her heart as well. She began longing to escape. Not wanting to look in the mirror, she wished she could turn her face away. Despite that, her body stayed unmoving, in opposition to her will. And on the other side of the mirror, she wasn't crying.
お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰お前は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰私は誰
She was falling into a gestalt collapse. Or gestalt collapse. In the same way as in the past when she lost the ability to speak. In the same way as in the past when her heart shattered. She ceased to perceive herself, questioning her from the depths of the mirror as herself. She was uncertain of her own voice. She was uncertain of her own hairstyle. She was uncertain of the shape of her own nose. She was uncertain of the color of her eyes. She was uncertain of the fullness of her lips. She was uncertain of her own shape. She was uncertain of her own face.
私は誰
君はコズピーだよ
But lo and behold, coming to the rescue, her image had been on the verge of splitting infinitely within the mirror. At the voice that suddenly came flying towards her, it had stopped multiplying.
私はコズピー
Kozue, Kozue Orihara.
私はコズピー
Her identity was re-establishing itself. Kozue came back to herself. The colossal mirror towering before her broke into tiny pieces. And while Kozue's sanity might be restored, the same cannot be said for Sena Aoi. Kozue had looked for the source of the voice that had saved her. In the passage leading to the turnstiles, she recognized his form there. And for the first time in a long time, Kozue Orihara can speak. And her real voice, which she was supposed to have lost, Kozue cried out that name. It seems as though Kozue's delusion has finally been shattered. Kozupi cried out. Come to think of it, this was the first time I'd ever heard her speak aloud. And that is going to bring an end to this episode of Let's Play ChäoS, ladies and gentlemen. And when we return, it is time to confront the bastard that murdered Hatano before Sena could. The same miserable bastard that had murdered Yasuji-ban over at the General Hospital. The man known as Mamoru Suwa of the Church of Divine Light. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.